And hello, this is Eamonn O'Brien. You're so welcome to the Reluctant Speakers Club Expert Series. And today we're talking about the power and indeed the importance of thinking niche as a speaker. And I am thrilled to be able to welcome our speaker today at the Professional Speakers Association, where we have Anthony Day with us. So Anthony, you're very, very welcome to Ireland.
You. Hello.
And Anthony, of course, you are known as the sustainability coach. And so when it comes to things green, I guess you're their man.
I hope so, yes. I talk about sustainable business, sustainable futures, and I talk to schools about sustainability as well.
Good, good. Well, today I want to, if you like, move away from the whole topic of green per se, although I will come back to that in a moment, and talk to you about the importance of being known for a particular topic. Why is that so important for speakers in general, to pick niche?
Well, because that's your product. And if people don't know what your product is and they don't know what you're selling, then you're not going to make any business, are you?
Yes. And what challenges does that present? Because trying to figure out what you want to be known for, how did you reach that point where you said, you know what, I am the sustainability coach?
I reached that point when I realised that sustainability was an important issue. And I decided that I would promote myself as the sustainability coach when I had done research and I had actually studied in a lot of detail to find out what the issues are, and when I identified the fact that it's an important issue not just for society but particularly for business.
Yes, yeah. So it's an important society, but of course the other thing is that, you know, when you think about things green and you think about whether people will sit up and pay attention to this, you've done something interesting. You talk about the perfect storm, which conjures up all sorts of images. Can you tell me briefly, what is that? What is the perfect storm? What causes people to sit up and pay attention to this?
Well, the perfect storm has been promoted by the Institute of Environmental Management and Assessment, and they have made the point that if you look at British industry, there's almost nobody, or at least a very small minority of organisations that have actually understood sustainability and have actually done something about it. It's a perfect storm because if we don't actually take it seriously, there will be a disaster.
And part and parcel of that, I'm interested by the fact that when you talk about these things, that you talk about the importance of building community as a way, I suppose, of banging the drums and getting more people to pay attention. Tell me a little bit about your thinking and why community is so important as a speaker and also in the context of what you do.
Well, I think it's important for everybody because if we're a lone voice, we're a lone voice. If we are successful as speakers, we change opinions, we change outlooks. And I think that's a measure of success as a speaker. And if you change opinions and outlooks, you encourage people to support your values and to share them with other people. And if you don't get people in the community on board, then, as I say, as a lone voice, you won't achieve anything.
No, and of course you need that voice to be heard. And speaking of voices being heard, you've been a member now of the Professional Speaking Association for 12 years.
Yes.
So tell me about that journey and the kinds of lessons that you've learned along the way that have helped to shape what you do and how you say it.
I think the most important thing about the PSA is that it is a community of like-minded individuals. And if you are a sole practitioner, as many of us are, then being able to go to a local group every month or so is very supportive. And out of that, of course, there are the mega conventions where the whole PSA community comes together.
You better explain what a mega convention is, because many people watching this will have no idea what we're talking about. So this is the Professional Speaking Association. They have what?
Well, it's a convention. It's a 3-day event usually, or at least a 2.5-day event, when everybody comes together over a weekend. We have workshops, we have keynote speakers. We have people from the top of the profession internationally. This year that we've just passed, we had Patricia Fripp, we had Alvin Laws, and they share some amazing insights with everybody.
Yes, which is fantastic as a resource. But if we switch, if you like, to the growth of a speaker's business, and you think about people gravitating towards your topic, what have been the greatest challenges that you've experienced in gaining visibility for your topic, or indeed that you've seen other speakers maybe experience as they get traction?
Well, I think the most important thing is defining the niche, is defining the focus. And not only from the point of view of what I think the focus is, but explaining to the potential customer what the focus is. Now, you use the term green. The green has got a lot of connotations.
Yes.
You know, if you're not careful, it's beards and sandals and polar bears. And that's not what I'm about.
Yes, yes.
Sustainability is, okay, it's green issues like preserving the environment, but it's climate change and it's population and it's water and it's resources and it's waste and all of those things. They're all together sustainability.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because of course necessarily there are any number of people who I guess would be skeptics, where if you put the word green in a sentence they assume immediately that you're in the do good space as opposed to maybe doing something that really matters to everybody.
Yes, you're quite right.
How do you cope with those fellows?
Well, you've
and
got to
women?
recognise that quite a lot of the denialists are really keen on business as usual. You can understand with the vast investment in infrastructure, the oil industry does not want to close down.
No, of course not.
And so on. People don't want to have to do things differently. But also people miss the point to some extent in that there are two sides to sustainability. On the one side, you can stop or reduce climate change if you take certain actions. When I say you, those actions are global. They've got to be carried out by governments. They've got to be carried out by governments in concert with governments. And they're way beyond what you and I can ever conceive of. But on the other hand, if climate change, for example, is causing floods, if it's causing tornadoes, we can do something about that. We can nail our roof down. We can make sure that we don't build a warehouse on a floodplain. We can actually react to what's happening because it's happening. We may not be able to change it, and whatever's causing it, we still have to deal with the consequences, and that's what I think we should be doing.
Absolutely, but only, of course, if we're aware of these things, which is why what you do is so important. And I notice, and I was interested that when it comes to your speaking, that you give people the option of doing video conferencing, which of course is very green. But as a speaker, tell me about your observations about how people react to that, and how you can up your engagement maybe with people that you can't see.
Yeah, well, I suppose that's difficult, but I don't think it's any more difficult than doing a television program, because you can only see the camera, can't you? I think that video conferencing and video presentations are going to become more and more common. They're of an advantage to speakers because they don't have to travel. They don't have to travel intercontinentally or long distances. But they're a great advantage to the consumer, the audience as well, because not only do they not have to travel, they don't have to waste time travelling. They can be sitting at their desk one moment, they can switch on a video conference and watch it for an hour, switch it off again. They've spent an hour, and that's all. So it's a win-win to do it that way.
And they can see it again if it's recorded.
Well, yes.
Which is fantastic.
Yes.
Well, maybe we'll round out then with one final question. So you've been involved with professional speaking now for quite some time. If you think about all the things that you've learned, and you were to think, my goodness, top of the list, here's the most important lesson that I have learned and can share with others, what would be that number one?
It's got to be focus. I started off thinking I can speak about anything. Nobody wants somebody who can speak about anything. They want a specific focus on something which will give them value. Once you've got that, then you're close to focusing on the market. That's what you've got to do.
Absolutely. The power of focus and niche. Can I thank you, Anthony? It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have been listening to the Reluctant Speakers Club, and until the next time, happy speaking.